Hey everyone, it's Notorious here. Today I'm going to show you how to whip the end of your hitch cords or your rope, whichever interests you. And I personally, if you haven't seen already in my videos, I whip the ends of all of my hitch cords. The ones that I use with tied connection points, so I use a poacher's knot at the end of the hitch cord to connect and use with a device like a rope wrench, etc. So here's an example. I've already made a video about how to whip a rope, and that is just a basic whipping, but it doesn't involve any cross whippings like these here, where you can see that it goes, against the grain here. I'm trying to zoom in here. There we go. So you can see those cross whippings, and those are very important actually for if you want to create a whipping that will prevent the core from moving out of the sheath, which is also known as milking. Inversely or conversely, you can get a situation where the sheath moves over and away from the core. So when you first buy any climbing rope, it's good to only whip one end. And that is so that while you're using it during the first few weeks or months, you can cut off any core or sheath that moves, from off center, so that moves away from the end. So if you have excess sheath, cut it off. If you have excess core, cut it off. And then when you finally find that, you're using this rope and you have that one whipped end and then the other end isn't whipped, and that, nothing further is moving out of the core and nothing on the sheath is moving away from the core, then you whip that end as well. And that's because at that point your rope has reached equilibrium. So when you buy a climbing rope, it isn't always at equilibrium. These machines that do the weaving, and they make the calculations, and for the most part, considering that the amount that is lost is only a matter of inches to a foot or so at most, usually, they do a pretty damn good job. So, I think that, but your rope will work better with you as a climber and your climbing systems and your gear if you allow it to milk out and if you remove that excess. And then when you're ready to secure it, you will do this. And so what you'll do is, so you'll look at the other whipping and see that, okay, so starts right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here and I'm going to I'm using a very small, use a needle that is as small as possible and drive it through the center. And I'm using what's called waxed twine. And waxed twine has been used for centuries, or maybe not centuries, but at least definitely the past century for whipping. It is especially popular with nautical uses. And so here I'm using a length that is equivalent to if I outstretch both of my arms, from my right arm stretched out to my left arm stretched out, I do 2 lengths of that. So 2 outstretched arm lengths. And that's how much I use. And ultimately you'll find out that you don't need that much, but it's better to have more than less. So now I'm pulling it to the point where I have just this little tail here. And then I'm going to go back in. and pull it through. Oops, I don't mean to get out of camera. Okay, now that I've gotten that, I'm going to go back in the other direction. So that's, the first one was 1, the second one is 2, and then you always want to go back in exactly, or almost exactly, where the other one went out. So I'm going in, if you look here, I'm going in back here, and then pushing this through. So this represents 3. Oops. I recommend having a pair of pliers on hand. Okay, so now that I've done that third time, sorry, I had some technical difficulties. So now I'm going to bring it through right here, and I'm bringing it through and I'm pushing it so that represents 4, and then finally you're going to take it and you're going to bring it through for a 5th time, right where it came out. It's hard to actually watch what I'm doing and watch what I'm doing on camera at the same time. And now this is really, it's hard to push through. So I want my pliers, and I'm going to push that through. Pull it out. All right. So, once I've done that, we want to estimate how much of this we need. And this is going to be basically grabbed upon by the wax twine as we bring it around and around and around like that. So if we look at our last one, we can see that we need about up to here. So we're going to take our scissors and right here, we're going to cut it. Boom, throw that away. And then you're going to, with a good amount of force, and in fact, I recommend that you take this and you bring it around your first 2 fingers, like that, so you can get real grab on them, and then start bringing it around. And I know from my last time doing this that I did this 21 times. That's actually my secret. It's not a secret because I just told you, but it's my personal number that I use for whippings. I go around, oops. So now I'm at 3, or no, 4. Am I at 4? Yeah, I'm at 4. And then 5, 6, 7, 8. And then make sure you're not laying any of these, layers over the other. So, what did I say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then 9, 10, and I'm pulling pretty hard. 11, but you want to pull evenly too. 12, 13, 14. And now at this point, I'm going to take my fingers and kind of push on both ends to get everything so that it sits nicely and evenly on. So right here we have an issue. So we've got something going on here where it didn't overlap. So I'm going to go back and we're just going to get to that point, figure out what's going on. Okay, so now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're at 8. And then going to continue wrapping. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, so this is not my best work, but as you can see, it's produced a pretty good. You want to now take your fingers and push all these strands so that they're together. This is actually pretty good. It's not bad. And then, now that you've done that, you're going to take your needle and you're going to push it straight through at the last marker and push it straight through to where it goes through to the other end, just left of the other wraps. So in order to do this, I require, and you may too because it gets so tight, so you want to take this and you want to push this through until it gets through the other side. Now this particular one went through a strand, so we want to push that out. And it went through the strand again. So we're just going to lift this strand up and bring it to the other side. Sorry, I didn't get any of that on camera. But basically what I did was, it was on the strand, so I lifted it up to release it from the strand, and then I brought it off to the other side. And then now I'm going to use my pliers to push through and then pull out. Okay, once you've done that, you will lock in all of your progress, and you have, that one part doesn't look very good, but looks good enough for me. I like it. You can see how with how much tension you push, it's almost like an hourglass. You start with a little less, you end up with a little more here in the middle on either side, and then you end up with a little less. I do that pretty much consistently. That's just how I end up doing it, despite all of my efforts to keep it even. But regardless, I always end up with a great product. So the next step is to take this, now that it's gone through up to the left of the wraps, you're going to line it up so that it is perfectly perpendicular with the wraps. And once you've done that, put your thumb on it. Oh, make sure you got it right. So put your, oh my God. Put your thumb on it like that. And now, just to the right of the wraps, put your needle in again. And so I put my needle in again. And of course it's hard as a rock. So I need my pliers. This is pretty much impossible without pliers. So you've gone just to the right here, and you've put it through just to the right of the wraps. And now you want it to go through in a way that is just like perfectly on the opposite side. So I'm going to attempt to do that. And you also want it to come out not just on the opposite side, but you want it to come on the opposite side just to the right of the coils. So like right here. And so I'm going to stick this in and okay, so as you can see, I got it through here, and then it's off to the right of these coils. Now, is this perfect? No, this is not perfect. This is not going to work. So I want to pull it out and line that up again. And so I'm going to try this again. Okay. So now it is perfect. Now it is in the polar opposite of where it went in, relatively speaking. And now you're going to see that it's not perfectly to the right of this coil here. There's a little bit of space here. But let me show you something. That's okay. Because when you pull this out with your pliers, and the next step, so now you've created this cross whipping right here, which is great. And the next step is with here, what you're going to find out is when you pull on that strand to do another cross whipping on the opposite side, it moves the strands quite a bit so that it looks like it's just right against that coil, even though it isn't. So, well, I mean, it is, but it wasn't. And next, you're going to take your needle in your pliers, and you're going to line this up so that it is perpendicular with the coils. And then you're going to put your needle right where that matches up, and then bring this out exactly right where the other one came out, right here. You see where the left side of that perpendicular strand is? So I guess I didn't really have it perfect. But I had it pretty close, and so I'm going to stick this in, and I'm going to push this right out so that it... Okay. So as you can see, it came out right... Sorry, this phone is finicky. So it came out right almost in the strand of the other one. So that's okay. Don't worry about that. Consider that a win because you can pull this out now. And what you're going to create here is you're going to form your second perpendicular strand. So now you need to assess whether it's off to the right or off to the left of the original perpendicular strand. First, make sure you tighten, always tighten, and then look here. So as you can see, it is, well, this one's tough. It's more off to the left. You can see how it settles better off to the left than off to the right as a strand. But really, you could use either. Actually, you know what? I don't know. I think it does settle better off to the right. Let me know if you disagree in the comments, but I think it settles over here just fine. So I'm going to now take my needle, put it in my pliers. Make sure you grab it, when you're grabbing it in the pliers, grab it into the ridges. So there are ridges here. You see the ridges here? Always put it in the ridges. Don't put it on anything else because then it'll lock in perpendicular to the pliers. Like that, see? And then now what you're going to do is you're going to line this up. So I want to go just to the right of this other perpendicular strand. So you want to get it pretty close. So I'm going to get right there. Right there. And when I push it in, I want it to come out right where this other strand is coming out, right there. So I'm going to push it out. It takes a lot of force. All right, hold on. Let me get this. There we go. Okay, so you see, that one came out way out of the ballpark. That's not where we want it to be. So, let's pull it out again. Woo, I made a noise. It's under a lot of tension. So I'm putting in right here. And I'm looking at it upside down, and I'm looking at trying to measure. So okay, so here we go. We got this through, and as you can see, it's kind of off, but as I demonstrated in the other one, when it's off laterally, that's okay, because you can make do with that. Because watch this. Once I push this through, so what this is going to form, this is going to form our second perpendicular whipping. So there you go. Look at that. Looks pretty good, right? And so now that keeps the coil nice and closed. And it also puts whipping through the center of this, core and sheath, and that keeps it intact. Bear in mind that I'm only doing 2 cross whippings on either side. It is possible, and a lot of people do use cross whippings on every 90 degrees. So one up here, one down here, and one on the side. So 4 versus 2. So now, I like to use 2 because I've never found ever that I've needed more than 2. So, in fact, I've made whippings without cross whippings and found that the core doesn't milk out at all, just because it requires, cross threading in order to install the whipping on both sides. So now we want to tighten this. And then here we have it. We have it going through here. We want this cross whipping. This cross whipping clearly is going to go off to the right of the other one here in this instance, because if I bring it over here, it's crossing over it. So that's what I meant by trying to assess its position. And now, so we're going to take the needle and put it right below the other cross whipping right here, and just off to the left of the coil. And oops, I just lost it. And now we're going to push it through so that it comes out right through here. Now keep in mind, you've already made the 2 cross whippings on the other side. You only need 2 on either side. So basically, you can aim for anywhere in that immediate vicinity. So let me show you. I'm just going to aim anywhere off to the opposite end of this hitch cord. So push through. Hold on. Let me try that again. So there we go. So I've got that through. And now notice this is not anywhere near where I really would want it to be for a cross whipping. But because we are finishing our cross whippings, we don't really care. So I'm going to pull this through. And sorry, I hit my camera. Now we're going to pull this through, and here you can see I have created a second cross whipping on the opposite end. Looks just as good as the other side, right? Both sides look good. So we're doing good. And now you can see that I came out way in no man's land out here. Right here. But that's okay. Don't stress it. You don't have to really get it positioned perfect here. And I'll show you why. If you take now, because it's out away from the coil, you're not going to have to push as hard and strain as hard to get the needle through, because it's just less forces. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this. Always tighten before each and every next step. And then I'm going to go in right where I came out, and I'm saying right where I came out and I'm going to push through. And there we go. Like butter, it went through because I'm not fighting against the coil, which is super tight, and I'm going off to the side of it instead. So now watch what happens when you can see there's evidence that it was there, but watch what happens when I bring it through. So watch this. This is the last bit of evidence that it was there. Oh, it vanished. It's like magic. That's why you always go where you went in. Because even though the sheath may not catch it, you're never going to go in the core in the same spot. Or it does happen, but rarely are you going to go in the core in the same spot. So it'll pull through the sheath, and then the core will catch it. And then look, see? I'm pulling this, and it's not going through. So now, that's pull number 2. And so just like the first set of installments where you first begin the whippings, you want to do 5 of these. So number 3. So we're going to go in again right where we started. And we're going to push through. And again, that's like butter. So this is number 3. And as you can see, there's no evidence that I was ever there, because I went right where it went in. And let's just keep doing this. Number 4. Okay, push that through. And again, here we have it. It's going through. Boom, and it's gone. And then, last one, number 5. We're almost done here. So we're going to go in. The other one came out. Goes through like butter. And we're going to pull through. And again, look at that. Disappears like a ghost. Okay, so now that we've done those 5 installation whippings, I'm making these terms up because I don't really know what they're called, but it sounds pretty official, right? And so now what we do is we bury, since now with the first whipping, the part of the whipping, the initial strand that was stuck out, it ended up getting covered by these coils. And so it got locked in there. So in order to lock in this loose strand here, what we do is we take this and we go in right where it came out and we push through and on the opposite end, you can see it coming out. So now you want to take this, put it through, and watch, just like with the other situation, when you go right in where it came out, it disappears right under the sheath. That's exactly how you want it. So we do this 5 to 7 times. Depends on the size of the rope. If it's a thicker rope, then we want to do this 7 times. If it's a thin rope, this is only 10 millimeters. It's not even a rope, it's a hitch cord. And so what we're going to do is we're going to go in 4 more times. So now we do this, going in where it came out. And there we go. So now grab this right here. Okay. And then now, I mean, I can do this with my hands because it's so easy. I can go, so now I'm going to go up through here. Oops, sorry. Make sure this is in focus. So now I'm going in here. And it's okay if you go through the strand. You can see right here I'm going through the center of the polyester twine. That's okay. This stuff is strong, so it's not going to make a huge difference. And so now I'm putting it through and pushing it through. And so now we have number 3. And just to show you, you can see it right there. Boop. Bye-bye. And now we go in number 4. And we're going to go in here. And we're going to go... Oops. So, get it right here. Go in. And push it through. Okay, so I had the wrong angle on that, so I'm gonna pull that out. There we go. So, what's going on here? So now we go through, get a right strong angle there. Put that through. And one final time. I'm going to go through. And at a good angle. Okay. So now that we've done that, here is the secret to finishing off this beautiful whipping here. All we're going to do is we're going to take the strand of polyester twine and we're going to pull it until this collapses a little bit into a little deformed sort of squiggly line. And then you take your scissors, okay, go as flush as you can, cut it, and now you can see that little bit of turquoise there next to the blue. That's what's left. And when you pull this out, disappears. A lot of freaking magic tricks in this process, and it's pretty amazing. And so let's compare one whipping to another. So look at that. They're pretty much dead spot on. And I did that by continuing to use the same number of everything no matter what. And so 2 cross whippings for both, 21 coils or wraps to create a 21 wrap coil on both sides. And so now both our perfectly mint. Yeah. And it should be mentioned that if you want to really up your game as far as making your hitch cords and knots, ropes secure, hitch cords and ropes secure, then not only do you want to whip both ends, but you want to wrap both ends with the thin electrical tape. I think it's 33 grade. It's not like a regular electrical tape, which is thicker, so it allows you to make more wraps without creating a big bulge. And you want to make that nice and tight and progressively make it looser as you go around. And then finally, you want to use super glue on the ends of both ropes. Or ropes or hitch cords, both ends, excuse me. And so there you have it. That's my secret to ensuring that your rope or hitch cord will never milk or unravel again. Thanks so much for watching. Check out my channel for more hitch how-tos, knot tutorials, and climbing videos. Bye.